Now, before you Extreme Lioness fans come onto my channel and start saying things like, her content is absolutely flawless, I'm a stupid hater, why do I care, and just go and attack my channel, remember, this video is not for hate. It certainly has been some time since I've done this video, and then how about a redo, but on a more positive and respectful level? Challenge accepted, Herman. I'll do that. So remember, if you don't like what I have to say, you asked for it, so you're gonna get it. And I'm 2 years older than I was back then, so let's do this again, shall we? Now, one of the biggest things I remember looking back on when I made that original video was that I just kind of let thoughts go and I didn't really go into too much detail with it. Like, I would take a point and say, I don't know, this part of your videos are bad and so on, but I never really went into depth on how to correct it. So that is what I am going to be doing now. So let's get started. One of the first problems I will acknowledge, and I've told you this before in the first video, but it's still a problem from what I've been seeing, so I will reiterate it again. I think your thumbnails are missing something. Like, I've seen your thumbnails, and I think the best way to describe a lot of them right now is hit or miss. Now, frankly, this doesn't mean that they're absolutely terrible. I've seen plenty of worse thumbnails out there. I just certainly think that they are very divisive when it comes to their quality. Alright, we're on the Lion Queen's channel right here, or the Queen of Lions, whoever. And here's a problem I noticed right away with the thumbnails. Let's take the Forgotten Spider-Man creepypasta right here. One of the biggest problems straight away is the Forgotten Spider-Man text is very hard to read because the specific font or shade of red she put kind of blends in too much. It just blocks everything out. It feels cluttered. And it's very hard to read. And that's not limited to just this. There are other problems. So I've gone and I've made a thumbnail that's basically kind of the exact same thing, but I've improved it. And I'll show you the process. So right here, I just took the photo. I can see I've added in some brightness and contrast. And by the way, you can do this with anything. Like, it's not just exclusive to Photoshop. You can find other ways around it. So I added in some brightness and contrast. I also made the red nice and bright. I also used this font. This is definitely one of my favorite fonts. This font is called Rusty Attack Demo. Definitely pick it up if you're a horror creator. It's definitely one of the best. And you can already see, compared this text to the one over here, you can see how much better it is. I also omitted the author's name, simply because nowadays I find that crediting the author in the thumbnail is not very good, typically, because it's very cluttered. You can see right here, it's all over the place. But yeah, just adding in a stroke, which is a black background, you can see, look at the difference. So this is it without stroke. You can see the A and the CR right in here are kind of hard to read. You put the stroke straight on. Hold on, I'm messing up here. Put the stroke straight on, boom. You can see the difference immediately, how much better it looks. So yeah, these are definitely one of the biggest examples I can give you. Also, if you're going to make a thumbnail, let me show you the correct size. You want it to be 1280 width by 720 height. And then you paste the photo in, you stretch it out properly so it fits all the corners. Hit enter, bam, and you drag all the text on here. So you you pop it straight here. I like to keep the text down here in the middle particularly, because it's not really, if you put it up here you can kind of see it looks a bit silly because it's blocking out Toby's face. You kind of want to bring it down here so it's still noticeable and nice and big, but it's not blocking out the definitive details of the thumbnail. And obviously you just add some contrast. You can see I've just replicated it again. Turn the brightness down a bit, boom, there you go. And I've saved this thumbnail on my computer, so if the Lioness, or if Lioness ever wants to use this, she's all the welcome to. I don't mind giving it to her. And yeah, live commentary, damn. So this is another way I would fix the thumbnail like this. Let's go on to another thumbnail problem I've noticed. Also my Death Note background. Let's go down to, here it is, Experiment 84. I had to squint a little because I struggled with it. You can see that the top of the text has been chopped off. What you need to do, and this is why I recommend the 1280 by 720 width and height, is you want to make sure it all fits into a thumbnail so you can all read it properly. Let's take also The Loud House, The Nightmare House Chapter 11. You can see the blue text is good because it contrasts well with the orange. It's very noticeable. The problem she did was she didn't include a stroke of some kind. So you can see, like, especially around the whites of Lincoln's eyes and his hair, it's very hard to read the house. So she should have done is she should have added in another stroke of a colour. Maybe like, I don't know, a bright blue or some other kind of colour to reflect off of it. Or just change the colour from blue to another colour so it'd be easier to read. And it would have looked so much better. Take this one, E.T. Universe, Lion Queen's origin story. It's actually quite nice. Or, not E.T., It's Universe. Fucking hell. Sorry. You can see this is actually done very well. It's nice and big. You can read it properly. It's good. The Nightmare House epilogue, for instance. Take a look here. The problem with it is also a bit at the top. You kind of want it to shrink it a bit. There's no black stroke to it. If she added in a black stroke, it would have looked so much nicer. And another one right down here, The Cursed Chapter 3. So close. So close. What you need to do is shrink The Cursed Chapter 3 text a little bit so it all fits into the black background. You want to do it like this one, The Necrosis Creepypasta. This is a perfect thumbnail. Like, this is actually really good. It's simple, readable, noticeable, and clickable. And this is what you want. Same with Judge Angel down here. This is why I called your thumbnails very hit or miss. Because, you know, you can have really good ones over here, but you can have really bad ones over here. You kind of want to find a consistency. And I know it may take a while. Trust me, it took me a long time. I still don't do all my thumbnails. I have my friend Summit doing them. But these are some advice I can give you. And again, look at this one here. You can't even read the top of the text. So definitely find a way to make sure that all the text fits properly. And again, Hell EXE, you see this one is contrasted quite well. You want to do it like that. So this is all I want to talk about in terms of the thumbnail. Let's go on to the next part of the things that I think you could improve. Okay, so here's the next example. This is actually her narrations herself. And this is on the Blood Freezing Experiment creepypasta. And also, I like the intro. It's kind of funny. National Geographic, though, in the right, but it makes sense. It fits. I like the font. I'm going to turn this down a bit, though, because it's quite loud. But not too loud. There we go.
In 1944...
There's your first problem. The music isn't fitting. Now, this one took me a while to figure out as well. But whenever I like to start creepypastas, what I love to do is, I don't start like, dun 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 dun, like, you know, that song, which is like, kind of a chase sequence song. No, I like to start soft, quiet, like a gentle piano, maybe some kind of creepy, ominous music. I never like to start rapid fire, fast straight into it, unless that's intentional, like the creepypasta starting out that way, like I don't know if it's a part 2, and the part 2 involves somebody running from someone, then that would be appropriate to put in that kind of song. But no, I don't think that starting off straight away with kind of a more high action song is a good thing to start off your story with, because it doesn't really set the tone properly.
The British Secret Intelligence Service, also known as SIS, tried developing a chemical that would affect the blood of a human being. A copy of this lab report can be found somewhere deep within the old MI5 building in London. This chemical was
And I'll say this, she has gotten better with her narrations. Because before, one of the problems that I had was she talked very fast and she never took breaks. You notice now she's taken a bit more breaks when it comes to her speaking, which is a very good thing. Again, I am guilty of this. I've done this several times before, and I only really do that whenever I'm narrating. Like, for example, now I'm talking. I may talk a bit too fast. I may not take many breaks while speaking, but I only really do it when it's narration, like when my voice really matters. But yeah, no, that is one thing I can say that is an absolute positive, Lioness. You're doing very well, and you are improving. But yeah, let's take another song I think would be very appropriate for the beginning of this creepypasta. So, oh god, that looked horrible, I'm sorry. So let's go take a peek into my horror music, shall we? And here we go, all the horror songs that I use. Yes, I have quite a lot of them. So that song, I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere. I forget what it's called. Is it called... Yeah, is it called Scent of Night? I think it is. No, it's not Scent of Night. It's... Is it... No, it's not The End Is Always Near. It's not Haunted House. Not Living in the... Is it Living in the Dark? No, I don't think it is. Nope, that's a good one to start with, though. I'm trying to find out which one it is. It's not Gymnopedia. Is it Deadly Sorrow? Nope, it's not Deadly Sorrow. Not Crime Scene. No, it's not A Deep Voice. Dang, I don't think I have the song anymore. That's a good one, though, A Bad Encounter. No, I don't think I have the song, though. But I had that song, definitely. For sure. But that is not how I would start it. Let's take a song I know for sure. Let's go Disintegrating. This is a very good one. And hello, Aria. This is a very good song to start off a creepypasta with. Let me find it again. Disintegrating. Because take a listen. Well, give it a second. See how it's much more gentler, much more slower. It's a more appropriate song to start off an intro with. Because, you know, most stories typically start with the main character talking about their experiences. Like in Sonic EXE, you know, I'm like an average Sonic fan, blah, blah, blah. Squidward Suicide, I was an intern. You don't want hyper fast, focused songs. You want more slower, calmer songs. So Disintegrating is another one I can recommend. Gymnopedia is another one. I've 100% pronounced that wrong, but I don't know how to say it. You see how that's much more slower, much more nicer? Oh, and another one, but however, this one's a bit harder to get right. No, it's The End Is Near. Again, I'm trying to find it because I swear I have it somewhere. Oh yeah, but another good one I can really recommend is Wind's Wreck. This one. It's a much more gentle song. It's more appropriate for starting off a song. Or not a song, a story, Jesus. But yeah, though, those are the things I would recommend. Those are the song choices I would choose. And one I would avoid is A Deep Voice, because A Deep Voice, good song, but doesn't really fit. That seems a little bit more faster as well. I like fitting a deep voice in typically when the conflict is trying to slow down in a story. But yeah, those are just some song choices I can recommend and misclick there. But yeah, those are some of the problems I can point out here.
Drive in with the mixture of named removes, mermofungen.
And also another thing there, and I know she says she struggled with this, but I'll still point this out. When it comes to grammatical errors, you know, pronouncing words and whatnot. Here's a good thing I like to do. Let's take a word that I know can be hard to pronounce. Let's check this one, and yes, this is kind of a little side jab, but hey, it's all in good fun. So, I know you struggled with enthusiastic. You said infustic. So what I like to do is, if I find a word I'm not too sure how to pronounce in a story, I like to take it, I put it into, you know, Google Translate, whatever, and I take a listen to how they say it.
Enthusiastic.
Just like that there. And it may take me a few takes, but eventually I'll get it right. And you know, it's not just used to this, it's not just exclusive to this word either. You can do it with other words and all, but yeah, it's one of the best things I can recommend there if you are struggling with your pronunciation. Just put it into a search software and listen to an audio version of it.
And name removes conomism. As my Propolian line.
Like again there, like that. Again, I would usually do a retake. If my audio was kind of a bit weird, like if it just kind of, I stammered too much, and I'm not editing it out because again, this voice is kind of supposed to be a bit all over the place here because it's live. But yeah, if I have a script in front of me and I mess up a bit on the words, I would just cut out the bit where I messed up and then do a retake of it. And that's very easy to do on Audacity, for instance. It's one of the best softwares I can recommend if you are trying to record audio. I'm using OBS to record this now because OBS records screens and it records my microphone audio. But for example, if I'm doing a narration of a creepypasta, I will record on Audacity, export it, record the footage on OBS, and combine the two to make the narration. but it's definitely a good thing I can recommend there.
The chemical would mollify the blood's chemical properties and structure.
Also, I notice your voice is kind of a bit monotone. And I'm king of this, obviously. But I feel like when it comes to some more serious situations in stories, like when things are really popping off, you always want to make sure that you can try and add some emphasis to your voice. So, like, if it's a panic situation, have you talk a bit louder, have your character speak a bit faster, you know? If they're a bit sad, or they're just, like, shocked, just go a bit slower, like, oh, no, like that. You know how that's just easier than just saying, no, oh god, this person here is my father, but he's dead, you know, just like that. Again, this is not a knock, this is just a thing I would criticize. Again, it took me a long time to try and figure this out, and I'm still not the best at it. It still takes me a while to learn. But those are definitely some good points I would recommend there. And another one I can notice again right away,
And his heart monitor
is the quality of the video you're using. It's bad, let's be honest. This is capped at 720, it looks like it's recorded on 360p. Always try and look for a high definition version of your video that you're trying to use. And better yet, I do like how you have used a video instead of a still photo. I will give you points for that. However, if it's just the same video, like same corridors looping in and out, in and out, in and out, it can be very boring for your viewers to watch. So what I like to do is I like to mix up my recordings. Like, for example, I like playing games. I put gameplay on the screen, for example. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in gameplay, it can be good visually and good audibly. So if you don't like the narration, you can pay attention to the gameplay. But at the same time, if you only want my narration, you're not really missing anything. So those are some other good points I can give you there. Make sure to try and mix things up on screen. Don't just put one thing on, leave it for the rest of the video. Oh, and another one right here for your outro. Again, try and make sure that you fit all the text on the black, because it looks much better than it just being cut up right here, for instance. So those are some of the main points I can give you right there, to be honest, Shadow Lioness. Oh, and another one I'm going to bring up about your thumbnails as well. Holy border, Batman. Yeah, you don't want borders on your thumbnails. They look really bad. Like, take these ones for instance. Just try and stretch out the photos if possible. Or try and fill in the void with, like, I don't know, a different colour that's appropriate. Never try and have borders like this on your thumbnails because they look very silly. And people are going to make fun of you for it, for example. But even if you're trying to do things like that, I guess just, like, for example, right here, the red, make it full. Try and fill out the picture as much as you can. Add in different colours, try and make it bigger than just the borders. It's not very good. Sorry for the abrupt cut, but here is another thing I will point out as well. When it comes to your audio balance, let's take a listen to this clip from the My Little Pony Grimdark Vampalescence. I'm guessing this is a pun on Rarity's cat, Opalescence. And this is by Scribbler, awesome narrator. But anyways, let's take a listen to the audio and I'll point out the problem if you can't figure it out for yourself. So let's play a little bit of this and see why I think there's a problem here.
Her whole body was highlighted in the moonlight. Her fur was white as tiptoes of her own, but her eyes were red as poppies.
If you didn't get it, the problem is that the background sound and her main narration sound are clashing. They are basically too similar, like in terms of volume. Here's a rule of thumb. You always want to make sure that your background songs and music, always want them to be in lower audio than your main narration voice. You want it to be high enough so you can hear it, but not too high to the point where it kind of drowns out your narration, because it can kind of get a bit weird to listen to, because you'll be hearing half and half. You'll be hearing the song that's used, but you'll be trying to listen to what she's actually saying for the story, but you'll find it hard to do because it's constantly overpowering each other. So as a general rule of thumb, I always like keeping my background audio much more quiet. And again, this takes a lot of trial and error. Trust me, it took me a while to find the right balance, and even to this day I still make a bit of slip-ups. It's something to learn with repetition though. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And that's a good thing to point out, though, because, again, I made this mistake, and I don't want any more people making the same silly mistakes that I did. But, honestly, I think that about covers it for the main things I wanted to talk about here, because a lot of the points that I brought up before have pretty much been rectified at this point, you know? She's taking breaks when it comes to speaking, so her voice really isn't that obnoxious, when obnoxious being that it's too fast or there's not enough breaks in it, not obnoxious as in, I think she sounds horrible. Which she doesn't, she sounds okay. Definitely could be some improvement, but, you know, we all have individual voices. So, in a short summary, Herman asked me, when we kind of worked things out, per se, about kind of the whole thing that went on, if I could do a whole redo on giving the lioness, or the lioness, the Lion Queen, I keep getting the two usernames mixed up, the Lion Queen with her videos and what I would do to try and improve them, in a more polite way, as he says. Well, of course, naturally I was 2 years younger. I will say this, I still am a bit brash with how I come off with things, but in this video and in that video, I don't mean it to be malicious in any way, of course, you know, we're all still human, we all still make mistakes, blah blah blah, you get it. But still, I find it to be important that you give criticism to people. Of course, do it in a nice way, don't be an asshole about it, you know? Just kind of say, like, I would do this to improve it. Try and lay it on in a nice way, and that's what I'm doing here. So, these are the criticisms that I have with the the Shadow Lioness. The Lion Queen. Okay, there we go. I got it. So those are the main criticisms that I have with the content and how I would improve it. I really hope this actually goes through this time and, you know, you guys can understand what I'm trying to say and maybe I've explained things a little better besides all the stammering because this is a live commentary without a script. And remember, if this video gets taken down, they didn't like what I had to say. But this should be good though because, well, I tried to lay it on in a better way. I tried to explain it a bit better. So I hope that's that. Anyways, this has been The Dark Author. I really hope you take a listen to this Shadow Lioness, and I hope you go in with a more open mind than you did last time, take a proper listen to what I'm trying to say and whatnot, and maybe now that I'm a bit older and I can explain things a little bit better, and I've actually given you proper examples on how I would fix your content, or try and improve it, I should say, you'd be more open to trying them out. Anyways, I will see you all in the next video. Take care, my dogs, and have a good day.